Hey there. So we're entering week 4, which means we're hitting the 25% mark of the class. So that we're moving right along. And what we're going to do this week is leave the textbook behind for just a little bit. We're going to jump into our big semester-long research project. And I know even just saying that freaks people out, but don't worry. This is a really practical project. It's something that will give you some skills that you'll use in all sorts of ways. And most students report out that it's one of the most useful things they've done in college. So I'm hoping you'll be in that group at the end. We take it piece by piece. And if you kind of follow along and do the segments as we go, you'll do just great because I'll be able to give you feedback. You'll be able to revise things and we'll put it all together. So let's jump into Moodle and let me show you what we have going here. When you go into Moodle this week, you're going to notice a couple of new things. Now, I always show you the computer view, the web browser view, because it actually is easier. It lets you see everything. I highly recommend looking at it this way first in the week, and then later on, if you have to check it on your phone or something, go ahead. But even on my tablet, I don't use the Moodle app on my iPad. I actually just open it up in a web browser because it's way easier to use. Anyhow, once you get in here, you're going to notice that you'll see 2 new folders. One is Reliable Sources Project and one is Tech News. So let me jump into Tech News first, because part of what you're going to do this week is you have to come up with some tech topics. And so in the Tech News category, whoops, sorry for bouncing around there, it's opening up a little bigger. In the Tech News category, you're going to see links to some major technology news resources. I'm not saying that these are, they always have the very best articles and things, but by and large, for the most part, they've got some good information. MIT Tech Review is one of the best ones. I love that one. That's super good. New York Times Technology always has some really good things. These all Wired. I mean, they all have really good things in here. So when you go to it, what it'll do is give you a link. It'll link out to whatever that resource is. So these are just here kind of as a class library. We'll put it that way. Now, this other thing that you might see is this Reliable Sources project. This is the big project. It has a lot of moving parts, and there's a video for each part. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on any of it, because as we open things up piece by piece, there's a video that describes it. But your big idea is that this project actually takes all of the course learning outcomes. If you don't know where those are, go look back in the syllabus. Takes all of the course learning outcomes and wraps them into one project. So by the time you get done with it, you'll have some good skills under your belt. So it's broken down into 5 parts. There is a timeline. Here's kind of how each part breaks down. You're not going to be able to probably see all of these. I have most of them closed off because I always am tweaking and revising towards the end. But you could look at the overview and due dates. This will give you the dates. So by and large, the first 3 parts, you get 1 week, just like everything else. And they're small pieces. And so you get a week to finish. It's open today, or it's open on Monday. It's due on Sunday. That's these first 3 parts. The next couple of parts have a few weeks in between because I need to make sure to be able to get you feedback in time for you to make revisions and finish up. So this will give you your overview. All the parts build on each other, so it's not 5 separate parts. The final piece of it, part 5, actually contains all the other parts. So if you do it as you go along, everything will fit together, kind of like Lego bricks. So that's there for you to review. Let's look down in week 4, reliable sources. So we're going to talk about reliable sources, academic honesty, and collaboration. So this is a workshop week. This is a hands-on do week. Absolutely do not wait till Sunday to start this stuff. Like, you need to probably start this stuff early in the week, or you're just not going to get it. You're not going to get it done. So I explain again the Reliable Sources project here at the top. We've got the weekly checklist. I don't know how many people have been using that. Maybe I'll take a survey and find out. But it's fairly easy for me to put together now that I have the format. And remember, you can use this. This is for you. Don't share it with me. When you click on the link, it's going to ask you to make a copy in your own Google Drive. And so you can use this to keep track of when you finish stuff. You know, you can make your own notes in here, whatever. It's going to copy it into your own Google Drive. So use that if you find it useful. Anyhow, back to Moodle. In our Think section today, we're going to take a look at academic integrity and what that is, and intellectual theft and plagiarism and all that fun stuff. We're going to hit this a couple of other times in other units, but this is just to get the wheel rolling because we are doing a research project and academic integrity is critical. It's super important and it's something I take very seriously. So pay attention to what you learn there. Now, in the Learn section, we've got two resource documents, evaluating sources for credibility. And so it's got a couple of videos that are really good. One is a schmoop video, so it's really funny, but it actually is good. It's got some good stuff. And this other one was by Dr. Amina Jonas, and she talks a little more seriously about a couple of these things about how do you know if you find something, if it's reliable and useful and credible and all that other good stuff. How do you know? The second part is the workshop part, using Google Docs. Now, a lot of people have already used Google Docs. Most people, if you're in college, have used a word processor, maybe like Microsoft Word or OpenOffice or LibreOffice or something like that. We're going to use Google Docs in this class because it makes collaborating and sharing super easy. And if you participated in the LinkedIn feedback last week, you opened up a Google Doc and just started typing. It was super easy. So even if you have used Google Docs before, this resource probably will give you some tips you hadn't thought about. So there's the GCF tutorial that talks about creating files in Google Drive, and then also how to use Google Docs. That's useful. There's this Dottotech. Dottotech's got a really good channel. He puts out lots of really good videos. And so he has an article that summarizes all of these things, but then he's got this video here embedded in that article. So I put the video here with a link to the article, but he'll give you some really good tips on how to use it. And then finally, this last one is a little more current. 5 life-changing Google Doc features you might have missed in 2022. And I love all of these. I've been exploring with pageless format and drop-down menus, adding a summary, like all of these things I've been playing with. So this is the nuts and bolts, how to use Google Docs in ways you might not have thought about. So make sure you go through that. And now when we come down here, there are actually 3 things. One is not showing because I guess I didn't open it up. But one is going to be for LinkedIn. Now, the LinkedIn follow-up this week is continue making comments on your classmates' profiles. Use the Google Docs so they can see it. Go read the comments that people have put so you can make improvements. And then you're going to fill out a short form that's going to give me some feedback on who you're following on LinkedIn, how you're building your network, and what your experience has been so far. This next part is the reliable sources assignment that I was just talking about in the reliable sources folder. And again, there's a whole video that talks all about that. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's not a huge piece of the project, but it's a starting point because you need a topic, which means you have to submit a topic so that I can get it back to you. Anyhow, so make sure that's due on, make sure you get that into me on Sunday. And then finally, we have the week 5 discussion signups. And so that will be the same thing we did 2 weeks ago in week 2. So this is week 4. And so we'll have the discussion signups for next week. Check the class schedule and look for where it says Zoom weeks if you need to figure out which weeks we're doing Zoom. So that's what we have on board. It's simple for the most part, but it's going to require that you start thinking a little deeply, that you get a little curious about technology and about some things, that you do a little bit of exploration, and that you write me up a proposal. And all of that stuff is going to be more than you can just do in an hour or 2. So I highly recommend that you just jump in, take a look at everything, ask me some questions if you need to, and then get going. It's going to be a good week.